You can tell her, you can tell her anything. She's a real good listener. You can tell her anything.
Yo, what's up? It's your girl, Father Longlegs. You know me, Daddy T. This is You Can Tell Me Anything, the podcast where I have comedians confess something they want to get off their chest. I'm really excited for my guest today. He has been on so many things. I was looking at this IMDb. I didn't like Marvel, Agent Carter, Fuller House. I mean, you guys know him all the way from MadTV. He has a special. The latest special he has out is called Finally Live. Just very funny comedian and awesome new dad. Matt Braunger, what's up?
How are you, Teresa? What's going on?
I'm good.
Daddy T, sorry.
What was that?
Or Daddy T.
Daddy T. Oh, yeah. I don't know. Like, these nicknames started from this, you know how pod nicknames are. And they bled into the real world in a way that might be making my family angry, which... Well, I sent, like, Christmas cards with, like, Santa's butt hanging out as a cartoonish, very silly... thing, and kind of from the idea of like, because I just like butts, but like in a jokey way, like not a sexual way, and I think that it upset my conservative uncle.
Look, this is gonna blow your mind, but you're younger than me, and I
thank you.
No, like the thing you that I wish I would have learned younger is it's really okay to piss your family off for the right reason. And the right reasons being what you're actually into, who you are. You know what I mean? It's like there is a thing with the older generation where it's just like, I don't like it, so no. And it's like, no, like you mentioned Christmas cards. Ours, my wife and I were in Provincetown over the summer for like a week. And we were there during Bear Week. Actually, we were there for 2 weeks. We were there for Bear Week and Women's Splash. So,
okay, neither of those things I know. Is Bear like in the gay sense or like in the Wall Street sense? Okay.
Yeah. Do you know about Provincetown at all? It's extremely gay.
Okay, is it like Fire Island?
Yes, correct.
Copy.
Correct, yes.
Okay,
so
now Women's Splash, I can infer what that means now.
Yeah, Women's Splash is it's Lesbian Week. And it's all during Pride Week, and there's different themed weeks. So yes, Bear Week is large, hairy men. And so my friend Justin and my friends Justin and Jesse and I and my daughter Rose went to this brewery to have a beer outside, right? And so we're sitting there passing the baby around in the shade, and then it was solid gold night at tea. And so this apartment door opens and these guys start coming out in these gold lame outfits that were basically like hot pants with suspenders and matching hats and boots. And they come out, it's like a clown car. Like they're spilling out. There's so many of them. We're like, holy shit. And they all stand against the wall near us. And the guy's like, would you mind taking our picture? And I was like, I will if you'll take one holding my daughter. Like, oh my God, yes. And so I handed Rose over, and she was maybe, 8 or 9 months maybe. And like, she just screams because she's like, who are these people? And so I took a picture, and they're just smiling, holding this screaming girl. That's her Christmas card.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
Like, happy holidays, blah, blah, blah. And then they'll backsize a picture of me and my wife holding the baby on the beach. But it's like, that's the first thing my also conservative relatives, a few of which are conservatives, will see and be like, what is this?
I love that. I mean, I love it because like children scream when they meet Mickey anyways. You know what I mean? Like that's like the best version of it is you're like, it's like in the moment. I was gonna ask for a good confession, but I feel like that is a good confession. Like that just it's like a happy, positive thing, just a fun. Unless you wanted to like humble brag about anything else, it's generally just like a quick icebreaker way to.
No, that was one of those things where I'm never the guy who gets the perfect picture. Stuff just happens, and then I get my fumble, and I get I'm like your dad, like get my phone out, like do it again. Like you mean the eclipse, like or whatever it was. So like the fact that I got several pictures of these lovely guys like holding this screaming girl and being good sports about it and just being smiling, and they were all around my age. It sounds
like an America's Next Top Model cover.
It was awesome.
When they used to do those wow. Now I mean I guess you are older than me, but I always sound old to people when talking about like it was pre-CW like UPN, and I don't know.
Sure.
I'm so old, but not old in a bad way, but just like when I talk about TV and VHS. Because back when America's Next Top Model was like, first season, they had those pictures with all the people.
Yeah. And I will say, as someone who knows, anytime, a younger person like, oh my God, you're so old. Like, it'll be like, yeah, but it's going to happen to you.
Yeah.
Too. You know what I mean? So just
I love
get
getting
ready.
old. I feel younger now than I did 5 years ago. I don't know if you probably go through phases too of that.
I mean, I feel like, not to be like, I'm just getting younger, but like, I just don't care anymore.
Yeah.
I worked with this really great performer in New York, and she had the best line. We're around the same age. She's like, I don't want to look young. I want to look good. And I'm like, that's it. That's it.
Yeah.
Too many people are obsessed with trying to catch up with young people and stuff. I love after like I do a show on the road and like there'll be like younger people and they want to take a picture or something. I'm like, thank God, people my age, come here. Fuck all these oldies. Like, it's so fun because they laugh and they, they get, I mean, I have gray in my beard. It's just a fun thing to say because there are people my age that are really trying to pass. And it's like, you just need to stop and embrace who you are. You're
I mean, I'm with you, except for when I get casting calls for like they'll still throw me in for like early 20s, which is considered old in Hollywood for women.
It's
but
insane.
I'm like, what? Okay.
It's so much worse for women. That's why anytime any of my friends balk and be like, I don't like saying my age, and it's a dude, I'm like, you're 48. Shut up. Like, I will scream his age. It's just like, you don't get to do this. It's so, to me, it's just like, be that person who you say your age and people go, oh shit, wow, you're doing good.
They're like, we thought you'd be dead. No,
Hollywood is the worst for aging.
Yeah.
Like once they peg you for this, that, or the other, it's like, ugh. And it's, of course, 10,000 times worse for women. Anyway.
I wonder if you have, because this is a recent experience for me, because I'm starting to get to the age where, like, if I hear someone's, like, in college, because I'll perform for colleges and kids who used to, I always just felt were peers, even if they're a little younger. And now it'll be, like, if I'm hanging out with, like, a group of 20-year-olds, like, on accident, you know what I mean? I'm, like, talking to them after a show. And I find out there's like a jarring moment where I'm like, oh, like, hey, okay, cool, thanks for the, and I'm like, I don't know if I've just been conditioned by like too many people exploiting those dynamics, but I feel so strange. Like, I was hanging out at my with my boyfriend the other day, like he has like a hot tub in his roof, it's like a shared thing, and they're a bunch of like, they're like college students, but we didn't realize they were that young until we're chatting, just shooting the shit, and then a bunch of their friends showed up. They're like talking to us, and then they were talking about how they're going to graduate and they're like 22. And then I was like, we have to go. Like, we can't be in this hot tub with like 14, 22 year. Like, the situation didn't arise that way, but I was like, oh man, like, I wonder, like, because as a comedian and you have fans of all ages and, you're able to interact with them. Like, like, do you just go, I'm just a funny guy and people are going to like me? Or are you like finding yourself hanging out with young people where you're like, hey, this is not my scene anymore. Like, do you ever have those moments?
I just try to kind of be myself and not be too much of like, you just kind of stay open-minded and stuff and like laugh. I remember being back in Portland and I went to this show and I was just there to like watch some friends do comedy and stuff. And this girl gets on stage. She does this ridiculous dance to this song that was like around when I was like in junior high or something. And I was like, I couldn't remember what it was called. And I was like, oh my, and I thought it was such a funny, it was almost like a performance art piece, but like she was doing the most ridiculous movements, but her face was so angry. And I was like, I thought that was such a funny thing. And then, so after the show, she looks all salty and stuff. And I was like, that was so funny. Like, and she's like, thanks. And I was like, well, what was that song? And she's like, it's a dumb song that old people listen to or something like that. And like, she was just, it was obvious it was like a character. And I just cracked up. I was like, I just laughed. I was like, all right. And just moved on to my friends or something, like it's like, but that's such an anomaly. Most people just are happy hanging with whoever. I think the problem would be there is a comic who shall go unnamed, who's older than I am, who I remember me and Jonah Ray were at a festival probably about 10 years ago. And this guy was kind of a notorious, like, chasing after the girls kind of person, even though he was way older and stuff. It's pretty common amongst us dudes.
Never heard of it ever happening ever.
No, yeah, and I've never done it, by the way, never. And so he went to Jonah because Jonah was like the hipper of the two of us, and was like, hey buddy, like where's the party or something? And Jonah was like. Like Jonah told me later he had to bite his tongue, being like, "Aren't you like past 50, man?" Or whatever But it was just like, you're still. Where's the part? You're still doing that thing where you're like, hey, girls, like just man.
You gotta throw the party. If you're the senior, you're the one throwing the party. And if
throw it.
Yeah, that's just
pay
how
for
it works.
Stuff. You get a keg and a bag of weed.
Oh my gosh.
And just hang out. Yeah.
That's so wild. Before we get to your confession, I like to ask my guests, because I started this pod because I started going to therapy late in life, and it was like very comforting for me to be able to like just talk about stuff. But obviously it's comedy. But I do like to ask, because there's like that mental health slant of like my guests, like, what's your experience with therapy? Or do you have like a confidant? Like, obviously, share whatever you're comfortable with, but what's your sort of like routine when you want to like, self-soothe and that sort of thing?
I have a therapist named Alan who I talk to about.
Oh, wow. We got names. Okay.
And yeah, well, I mentioned him. I have a bit about him where it's
Alan Strickland Williams.
My special. Yeah. Oh, Jesus. He told me to do drugs. That's all he ever says. He says to drink and do drugs and to dress nice. No, I say his name because it's one of those things where he saw this special, Big Dumb Animal, where I do this bit, and he's like, I can't even tell people it's me because of confidentiality. He's like, but I've never been more honored. Like, he's so blown away because I had gone through a breakup with my current wife. We had our ups and downs, and we couldn't meet for some reason, and he's like, why don't we just go, like, I think his office was getting redone or something, so he's like, why don't we just go to a mall and walk around and talk? And he walked me around this mall, and I was like crying while I was talking and stuff. And the bit is, what a cool thing to do, how professional, what an awesome caregiver, but at the same time, looking back, people in the mall were like, you're breaking up with your boyfriend at a fucking mall? What is wrong with you? Look at him. He's ruined. He's so cry. Oh, you're going to make him cry in front of all these people in front of the Gap? So it's like this whole thing.
Oh, I got to watch it. I haven't seen that one.
So I can say his name.
I love that.
It's Alan.
You could also argue he was trying to, if the situation was read in the way of a breakup, you could be like, he's trying to help you get over capitalism, so you'll never walk into a mall again.
That's deep. Yeah, totally. I was about to take like a job at some shitty big tech or something, and then he's like, don't be like all this. Just like this mall is dying, so will Facebook. Do not join. Yeah.
Oh man.
But I've always had a thing where I've never shared enough with the people who are closest to me. Very guarded. I think that's because of blame it on being an only child or whatever. Like I've always been amazing at making friends, but never with sharing. And that's not anything I even realized until I was, deep into my 30s. So having a therapist, when people are like, why therapy? I'm like, because it's good to have someone you can say literally anything to.
Yeah.
Because there's no one else in your life like that. No one. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and also in a way where they can't judge. I mean, they can, but it's different. You're not like, please like me. Although,
there's a distance. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
I love that. I never thought about that only child thing because I have an identical twin and I'm an oversharer. I don't know if that's connected at all, but now I'm wondering.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, we just talk so much. I don't know why I shared that with you. Like I said, it's an example of my overshare.
I'm honored.
Well, let's take a quick break. When we get back, we'll get your confession. And we're back. Okay, Matt, the time has come. Is there anything you'd like to tell me?
Okay, I just, as being a straight Catholic, I'd like to start with just a forgive me, Mother, for I have sinned. Okay. I'll say forgive me, Mother. It's always Father. Okay. I think I went to confession to do confirmations, part of the Catholic, signposts, and that's it. I went once.
How long were you Catholic? Or are you still practicing?
No, it's like I have a kind of a complicated relationship with the divine. I'll say it's like I go back and forth, but like I grew up in a progressive Catholic church, so it was never a thing where I could just be like, F this, I'm an atheist, because it's like it was
The lines keep moving. They're like, you're still here. It's all good. Come with me.
Oh yeah, no.
Like,
There's a rainbow. They had gay parishioners, Black Jesus and Mary. You know, it's like it's kind of hard to fight with that level of Catholicism. But it's like, I finally was like with my dad. I was like, I can't get my head around congregation. Like a bunch of people going, this is what we believe, right? High five. Nothing else. Like I can't do that about anything. Like I couldn't do that with like, we all love apple pie. One of my friends would be like, I like blackberry. Like I can't. You know what I mean?
True.
It's not...
Even comedy, which is the most, I feel like, decentralized democratization of like a sort of church. It's still like, you wouldn't want to go to, like even your favorite comic, sometimes you'll be like, I didn't like that set that much, or I didn't like that joke.
Even if we agree on, the #1 comic in the world, one of us in the room will be like, you know who kind of got me more though? It's just not. It's the same thing with belief.
Yeah. Me. I mean, Catholicism actually, like a lot of this, would you believe it, a podcast about confessions with comedians draws a lot of Catholics or like ex-Catholics. Yeah. So that's definitely a theme I've heard before. But
well, confession is healthy. I think it is. You got to get stuff off your chest. You have to.
As long as it's not someone using it against you. Because I think like Scientology also does that.
When it's used as blackmail material, that's true. Yeah.
But yeah, I love the idea of, I think comedy gives you the power back to talk about yourself in your own narrative. Speaking of, would you, what do you want to talk about, Matt? The floor is yours.
I wanted to tell something really, like I haven't really talked about with anyone but like close friends. It was just like, it's an embarrassing story. But it's like I tell stuff I'm ashamed of on stage all the time because the performers that I like do the same thing where, it's not, especially if it's something that doesn't make them look cool. Yeah. I always like stuff like that. Like I had a period in my life. I lived in this apartment in Silver Lake for 6 years. And my wife and I are still like, how did you live there for 6 years? Like it was not nice. I mean, had a lot of space. But it was just, like this really old, like bad looking carpet, and it was built weird. And it was this guy just turned this house into like a triplex somehow. There was an apartment underneath me. I shared a wall with my landlord.
Did you have roommates?
And his wife. No, it was just me. Okay. That was like, I lived with Kanane when I moved to LA for a couple years, and then I got my own place. And this was like the thing where it's like, hey, it's my place and I can afford it. So great. And I
might still be in that stage of my life, but this is very helpful to hear.
It looks great. It looks nice. It's together. It's clean.
It is carpeted, but thank you.
It was a full-on bachelor pad, and like it was where my wife and I. This is not my confession. A lot of people know this. And I met as manager and client. Like she kind of discovered me, quote unquote. And a couple years after that, we started hooking up while she was with someone else. Anyway, so we used to go to that apartment, and like her boyfriend would be texting her and stuff. Like, where are you? And she's like, I'm with friends. Like it was. It's one of those places, just a den of iniquity on almost every level. I would be drunk there a lot. I would take people home there a lot. So this one story stood out. That's. Again, I can't believe I'm telling you this, but I was at a friend's party, and he nudged me and was like, I think this friend of mine likes you. And I looked over, and she was very attractive and stuff. And I'd met her before, and I went over and we were talking and having some drinks. And so we go to my house, and we fool around and go to sleep. And then, like, I will give a little backstory. That period of my life, I definitely was into partying and just being with anybody I wanted to be who wanted to be with me. And that it was kind of this thing where I was thinking about this today.
Like your hoe phase, yeah.
Hoe phase for sure. That was mine for sure. And like, I didn't really hook up on the road. I had a lot of people who would ask me, like, when you're on the road, do you like just, you hook up with people and stuff? It's like, I never really did. What I would do, I've always kind of done, is have a couple drinks with the staff and then go home. That's kind of my thing, and not hook up with the staff ever. But like, people think that I had a really, really good looking and kind of famous actor dude that I did like a panel show with. And he's like, oh, I know you're a stand-up. And I was like, yeah. And he's like, he was married. I was not at the time. I think I was engaged, but he was married with a kid, at least one kid. say who it is because it would blow your mind.
Oh, okay.
But he was like,
no, I'm just kidding.
he was like, so you go on the road a lot? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, so do you have like a lot of sex or he got real breathy and a little bit sweaty. And I was just like, no, if I'm honest, man, no, I really don't. Cause I was like, I'm with someone now. And even then I wasn't like, when use your parlance, a hoe on the road. I was always like a hoe in LA. Like I loved having a weekend off. So I could
It's
go.
almost lonelier. I feel like I mean, because I've heard that before. I mean, even before I just started doing more road stuff, but like it's very different now, obviously, than it's
right.
And also as a woman, but it isn't like imagining it's like, oh yeah, you're like crushing it, and then you get to like go to your fancy hotel. It's like, no, you're probably like crashing on someone's couch, or like the hotel's like a day's in or whatever. Like it's not. It's like a lonely feeling to bring someone back to that, and then be like, okay, bye. Now you see who I am. Like,
but I think it was also me not wanting to be trapped with someone for some reason. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
okay. You're already alone. Why not just enjoy your me time?
Yeah. It's like, I don't know why I would be fine with taking people to my house or going to their house here. You know what I mean? That never
I get you.
landed with me. But like, I never examined it. I mean, back then in my life, I never examined anything. I was just like, I'll do stand up. Wow. I don't have to have a real job anymore. I'm going to go get drunk with friends and then see if I can meet someone and maybe hook up. You know, that was kind of it on the weekends. And more often than not, it was more about just getting drunk, getting high, and like having fun and, you know, getting home somehow. That was mostly what it is. But so in this event, me and this woman went to my house and like hooked up and, you know, fell asleep. And we had been drinking pretty heavily. And then the next day, you know, like, we were laying in bed and, you know, kind of like really getting along and stuff. And we're like, oh, you want to get breakfast? You know, that whole dance. And then we're getting our clothes on and she's like, where are my underwear? And I'm like, I don't know. And we're looking everywhere, cannot find her underwear. And I go in the bathroom and she's like, I'm going to look under the bed. And she like runs around and then she comes out of my room and is like something's up, or she's like looking around, and I'm like she just you like the thing like a tell, you know when someone you're like, oh, you're not into me anymore at all, you know, where someone's like, what? No, you're the coolest, and all they want to do is to get the fuck out. And I was like, she's like, you know what? I realized I can't go to breakfast. I have to meet my friend. I'm like, okay, and I was like, all right, and like she left, and I was like,
what do you have under your bed?
Right? Exactly. So this is the part that I was like, are you really going to say that on a podcast that anyone can listen to? But I will say, I like people who share on podcasts, and I try to be truthful in my art. And also podcasts are, for me,
not real art. No, I'm just kidding.
It's like, debatable.
Fuck your podcast. Yes, who are you?
The cool thing about podcasts and why they took off and why they're ubiquitous now is because they keep you company. You know what I mean? Like they make you get through a bad shift at work. They make you get through a bad job. They make you get through a long drive. That's what people use podcasts for. That's what I use them for.
Yeah. And, I listen to my friends I miss sometimes just so I feel like I'm catching up with, which then I'm like, I should probably call them too, because I can't just listen to 3 of that.
That's good enough. They know I'm their friend. Like, how would I know you listen to my podcast? But so basically I got a Facebook message later. And you know, truth be told, I had at one point hooked up with someone and then written them on Facebook and was like, hey, that was really cool. Like, let's hang out again. Like, it's like, just call. If you've been naked with someone, pick up the phone.
Well, see, that's an age thing though, because Facebook wasn't, maybe text. Because I definitely I've had people call.
So a Facebook message is so weird. It's so weird. And it's like, I only say that to say I'm guilty of I did it once. And she wrote me that other girl wrote me back. She was like, ooh, a Facebook message. I feel so special. Like she shit on me so well. It was so funny. And I still am friends with this person. Like she's awesome. But this woman wrote me on Facebook and was like, look, I don't know where my underwear went. And to this day, I don't know where her underwear is. I have no idea. I never found them. I don't know what we did. So, but
is
she's
she
like,
running a scam? I'm like, I'm so curious where this is going. I'm like,
what she did find was several condoms that had been used.
oh gosh, under
that
the
were back
bed.
there. And to the listener, I am sorry, not proud. I
At
apologize.
least you are using protection.
I can't believe this to a woman, and people are listening to this, and this is, God. So
I mean, it could have been maybe because I know you now, but I think I would have been horrified too. But like, it's okay. Yeah, continue.
But I will say, let me explain. Okay.
Okay.
This is. Let me explain. I can tell if people are just like, stop right now.
I'm trying to think of how you could make it worse, as maybe if you were like,
no,
and then I pulled it off without her knowing.
No,
no. That's why they're there.
She wrote, it was very emotional and angry, and I'm not saying emotional in a shitty male way, you know, because that's an awful thing to fucking find. Like, clean your apartment, stop, you know. There's no excuse for this. But
did you know they were back there?
He was like, I'm not judging you, but I hope you take a good look at your life, like whatever, like that, you know, like, okay.
Oh man.
Okay, fair enough, and fair.
I don't know. I would. What? Gosh, I mean, on two ends, I would probably feel some things about it, but I don't know that I would tell the stranger that.
It's been a long time. At the time, I was very put out and very angry, but I saw her point. I just decided to not write her back. That's it.
Sure, that's fair.
No acknowledgement, but also no, hey, fuck you, or whatever. Like, defend my shitbag lifestyle. Sorry for cursing, but
no, it's fine. We just talked about condoms.
I will say, days before that, there was this, I had someone who, like, I wouldn't even say on again, off again relationship, but if I saw her out at a party, we would often not go home together. It was just like a thing back then.
Yeah, that's like that's a fun sort of iconic dynamic from the single years. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so that particular night, she and I had really gone whole hog. We like got wasted, like so wasted, and we're like going at it, but like, I'll just say not to completion on my end, let's just say. And we would go to sleep and wake up again and try again and go to sleep. And it's like,
so you guys were doing Molly is what you're saying.
I'm just kidding. I've never done Molly. That's how much of an old man I am. But like, I will say, to our credit, we did use a condom every time, but it was just like, well, this isn't happening. Whip it off, pass out again. And let's just say a few times. So that's where I've never been in the habit of using a condom and just throwing it on the ground ever in my life.
I thought you were just going to say of using it. Imagine if that was your response. Oh no, I don't usually use condoms. They're not mine.
I've never used. Yeah, no, and that particular time I had thrown them all behind the bed and not even remembered, you know, but then it came rushing back reading that Facebook thing. And it was just like, what am I going to do? Write this person back and go, no, that was someone else, but one person, and I kept whipping it up. There's just there's no ground to stand on. There's no way it looks good, ever. You know, I can't frame it correct. So like,
I just don't know what she expects, because that's like what maybe the message is, you are self-aware enough to look back and be like, oh, this is interesting. So it worked out for you because you could put it all together, but like, I would never want to send a message like that, maybe because I'm like, what would I want out of it? Like,
no, I know.
I wouldn't, if I didn't want to see this person again, like, I don't care if they change, but also I'm going to make him feel bad, and why? I don't want that. Like,
that's the thing that got me, where I'm just like, you could have said nothing and never talked to me again, you know? But at the same time, I was like, she probably just had to get it out. She probably felt really bad about herself. And that's the part that makes me go, fuck, you know, I don't want her to feel like, wow, I feel lesser for having hooked up with this bag of trash. You know, but like that said, it was like reading that message, I was like, oh boy, do I feel awful, you know? But I kind of earned that a little bit, you know. I will say, it's like, yeah, it was way under the bed, and it was like just a series of unfortunate events because we couldn't find her underwear. I mean,
and then she never turned up. The underwear never turned up.
Yeah, I don't know. No.
I bet she found it in her purse. I bet she like put it in her purse and forgot.
Yeah, maybe. But in any event, the damage was done. So
man,
Yeah.
That's wild. Like you're also making me reconsider like how easy I let off so many people, because I definitely and I was like in that period of my life I was living in New York, so you can just imagine it was like 10 times worse. Like
Sure.
but there definitely were times where I'm like, oh, there's bugs in this bed, you know, and
Yeah.
that's fine. I think.
Oh yeah.
I think this person, other people like him too. So I must, you know, that kind of thing. And then later you're like, what? Why? Like, do we all, we just convince ourselves?
I mean, I wasn't gonna like, I'll just make reference to this. I've told this story before. Just like, I had a girl who I went on a date with in Chicago, who, when I lived there, who basically tricked me into helping her clean her apartment. She just, like, it was like, had a couple drinks. She's like, do you want to come over? And I was like, sure. And I went over there, and there's nothing. There's no beds, no chairs. And she's like, yeah. She's like, fuck. Like, I just always forget I'm moving out. And I'm like, oh. And she just starts sweeping and shit. I'm just like, okay. And I was like, help. I should have left. Like,
oh my God, that's pretty funny though.
But it was like, oh,
that's
yeah.
boss
It's
moves.
like, I love who is it? Who wrote me? I think it was I tweeted that, like, someone would like, what's the stupidest date like, you know, experience you had? And I was like, a girl tricked me into helping her clean her apartment on a date and then never talked to me again. And like, I think Alice Wetterland wrote underneath it, I've meant to apologize to you. Like, you know, just
I
like,
mean, yeah, that's really funny, and I'm sorry that happened, but also I'm like, God, I gotta side with her on that one.
you know, I mean, I don't
That
have
you had
any
not
animosity.
cleaned
I
so
think
much
it's
that you had
funny.
no idea what was happening. Like, it's almost like you're like, what's happening? Is this foreplay? It's like, I don't know what cleaning is.
Just swish. Are we gonna kiss? Hey, are you in the bathroom? Yeah, it was like, so it was, I mean, it's hilariously pathetic that I just didn't, you know, but like, I've just, you know, this will shock no one who knows my act or knows me, but I've just never been that guy who's just like, yeah, well, fuck you, and walk out in the night and meet someone else. You know, I'm just,
Yeah,
I don't know.
that's what, it's weird when we're talking about homes, because it's, I don't know when it changed. And I mean, obviously, definitely during the pandemic, but I'm in a relationship now too, but like I definitely used to be like very cavalier about going to people's places or people coming over. And when like, just suddenly had the thought as we were talking about homes, I'm like, the idea, even if I was single, of like inviting a stranger I just met home, I don't know if this makes me sound lame or old, but I'm like, I crossed the threshold. Like, I don't want to do it. I don't need to do it. And also like, there's like a visceral, like, why would I do it feeling right now? Like, I don't know what changed, because I remember I used to do that shit all the time, and just like going into strangers' homes, walking up 8 flights of stairs. Like, it's like,
you are invulnerable when you're young. Like, my daughter will just full on, like, she's careful. She's like she'll go downstairs the right way and stuff. But every once in a while, like, if I'm 6'4", I'll be holding her at head, and she's like, I want to get down, and she's just trying to throw herself back. I'm like, what if I let go? Like, this was not work out well for you. But it's like, when you're that age, you think, I mean, I feel like the younger you are, the more self-destructive, and you feel indestructible. You feel, you know what I mean?
Yeah, maybe that's what it, like, you're searching for novelty or exploring, but now I'm like, I know generally the storylines that could happen, and I'm gonna pick the one where I'm safe at home, which sounds so lame. But it's true.
No, it's not lame. I mean, I think some people can really just going with the intentionally single life for a long time, and God bless them, and that's awesome, and I don't have any judgment and anything like that, but it's just like, for me, it came later in life, but like finding someone that like I connected with, and honestly being kind of stupid with them is so much more fun. You know, it's fun to go out and be like a bag of trash with my bag. You know, like, when we're gonna do that, you know, so.
Yeah, it's like all the fun of like the early dating phase where you're like excited, but without the fear that they'll like suddenly get to know you and not like it, because they already know you. Like, it's like,
that's correct.
At most they'll just be like, oh, can we do something else? And you're like, okay, like there's no fear of like, I know you now.
Yeah, the second time my now wife and I broke up, like, I was going on dates, and it was just like, it just felt hollow. It was like all this stuff on paper was like, oh, that looks so fun, but I was like, you know, it's just like that thing. It's like something's missing, where, you know, So it's
Oh,
great.
that's
When
like
you're
very
younger, though, you don't really need as
romantic.
much.
It's a
I
very
guess
like.
so.
Well, I thank you for sharing that. It's a very, I feel like, funny and relatable story in all
Good.
senses.
Honestly, Teresa, I was like all day. I was like, "Are you seriously going to tell that?" Because it's so gross.
I can't
It's
believe
like,
you're that nervous about it because I'll say like, yeah, saying it out loud, it's like, oh, that's funny. But I'm like, most people imagine some version of that for a lot of male comedians, I think.
Yeah.
And not like you specifically, but just like I feel, and maybe because personally I've just been inside homes of so many male comedians. I lived with 2 improvisers in New York, so this was my house too, where the ceiling would fall on my face, and it was disgusting. So it's like, you know,
Wow.
girls too,
Yeah.
you know, we just didn't get, we didn't have the resources, but you know, I guess I got out of there sooner.
Sure.
than they did.
Sure.
But no, I like, there's something endearing about you being like, oh, I'm so embarrassed, because I'm like, that means that it wasn't even like, that wasn't really the state of your environment then. Like that was like an anomaly within your
Well,
life
it was,
then.
but it was also like I was living a lifestyle that allowed that kind of stuff to happen, you know? And it's like, I'm sure if I really dug, there'd be something way worse. I'm sure there's like some like, you know, thing that I was like drunk and don't remember or something like that. Like nothing that someone will like come out and like be like, oh, you touched me, or like something like that. But
Yeah,
just,
I
like,
know.
something more that it was so embarrassing.
Just like
you know?
silly.
Or, like,
I'll say this in the spirit of sharing, because I did this last night. It's not like oh no, I had condoms out, but I was alone and I took an edible to decorate my tree, and for some reason a classical song came on that just like piqued me the right way, and I'm not a classical head. Like I like classical music, but I'm like, this is like not ever happened. I started just putting on intense violin music, put on my ballet shoes. I have not worn them for years. I don't do ballet now. Like when I was younger, I did, and I still have them. And just danced around my apartment.
Awesome.
To intense violin. And apparently other people have had this thought, because when I was Googling violin, I was like, I want more violin. The playlists on Spotify are like intense, epic violin solos, passionate.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, people have been here before. They've been where I am in this headspace.
Yes. Oh yeah.
But yeah, that was that was pretty weird. I mean, I was dancing around my home alone with my dog in ballet shoes to violin.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's called living.
I guess that's what I thought. I'm like, I feel like I'm judging myself, but I'm having fun, and who cares? And if I hadn't told you this, nobody would have known. So I blew my own secret. But
hey, look, there's a phrase that I invented that gets spread around a lot, and it's dance like no one's watching.
Wow.
And that is, yeah, they put it on pillows. I wrote it when I was a kid.
I thought you were going to say you can tell me anything and just name this podcast.
You're right. I had the idea for this podcast first.
No, I love that. I have a quick game to end with. Do you have a few minutes? Okay.
Oh, totally.
This is because you're a new father. This is called Playing Caught with Dad. Okay, it's not a stupid play off of playing catch, but as a dad, you know, you could start world wars, create the next Banksy, or give an improviser the ammo to start a podcast with 4 simple words: I'm disappointed in you. Of course, this superpower should be used wisely and only when strictly necessary. But, you know, as a comedian and jokester yourself, you may have pushed your own way through authority as a kid. So let's see how Kid Matt and Dad Matt stack up when it comes to getting caught breaking the rules. In this game, I'm going to just like list like something that like you might get caught doing as a kid, like, you know, sneaking out. You tell me if you were ever caught breaking the rule as a kid. You don't have to tell me you've actually done it unless you want to. Just you got caught. And then follow up what you would do if you caught your kid doing it, or, you know, would you be upset? Short version. Okay. First one, throw a party when your parents are out of town. Have you ever gotten caught doing that?
Yes, I did it in high school, and it became legendary where I won't say my parents' corner because they still live on it. But let's say it's like, let's say, 27th and Prescott, which is a corner in the area. Okay. So, people were like, party on 27th and Prescott, like yelling it in the hallways. And I'm like, no. And like,
oh my God.
Like my friend was coming back from a football game, and on the bus, all the football players like party on, you know, 23rd and Prescott, 26th Prescott, whatever I said. And like, my friend, we didn't have cell phones back then. And my friend showed up to my house early and was like, dude, it's going to be crazy. 2,000 people went to my high school. So yeah, we had a student body. It's like, you ever seen the movie Mr. Holland's Opus?
No.
Okay. Well, it's
But I've seen Mean Girls, and I'm imagining Aaron Samuel's party.
Maybe well, it wasn't even, it was pretty packed. My parents' house is not that big. So it was just, a bunch of kids standing around drinking 40s. And like, at one point I just snapped and I was like, if I don't know you, you got to get the fuck out of my house. And I was screaming it. And people started going like, oh dude, remember me? Like Megan. I'm like, yeah, and I don't know. I've never been like that, like the hardcore guy, but I just kind of snapped and I kicked him out. So me and my friends just packed up all the bottles and put them in paper bags and put them on the dining room table in the middle of and there were so many bags. They went to the edge, and like, I went to my friend's house to spend the night for some reason. And then I came home and my dad was home, or I saw his car and like, and he's just standing there looking at all the cans and bottles neatly put in.
Oh
and he was
my
like,
God.
So to answer your question, yes.
Oh my God. Would you be upset if you caught your daughter doing that? Throwing a party?
Yeah, I'd be super pissed. And I'd be like, cause I think my stance would be like, you can have a couple friends over, but do not have, I think I'd give her a number.
Yeah.
And I'd
oh,
be
that's
like,
smart to like kind of set some boundaries. Yeah.
Yeah. Cause it's like, I'd rather you have a couple friends over and like watch some movies and like, don't drugs. I would think it would depend on like her age, like, but
no, that makes sense. Cause it's like, also we always think it's our house, but it's our parents' house. And you're like, oh,
totally.
These strangers in my house.
I just feel like, if she's my kid, she's definitely going to want a party. But like, I just, it's this thing where I would understand, but it's like, I just don't, I want her to be safe. I want her friends to be safe. I don't want anyone driving.
This is such a nice dad answer. I won't hold you to word for word.
I don't want my shit fucked up. I don't want, it's just like, it's one reason why I don't do Airbnb for any property I own. It's just like, I don't want people doing weird stuff on my stuff,
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Cause I respect people's Airbnbs, but it's like, you're still treating it like it's not your, like there's just a level of comfort. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
What about ditching class, like cutting class, like officially, we're gonna cut this class.
I think I didn't do it I think once in high school, my friends and I ditched like in senior year, like it was like ditch day or something. We went and saw a movie. So like, whatever, like if my kid is doing okay in high school and ditched a day, I'd be like, fine,
Ditch day, okay. Yeah. I feel like that's almost a rite of passage to be like, if you haven't ditched by now, good job. You're allowed now. Yeah.
Do it once. Yeah. Live it up.
What about, okay, this one's probably more like younger skewed because it'd be a problem if you're older, but like stealing candy or toy from a retail store.
Oh yeah. I used to steal. I was a proficient shoplifter. Like,
okay.
It's not, it actually might feel like a pang of shame. But
what was the biggest thing you stole, or like proudest as a kid to kid you?
I wouldn't say proud, but like, like
trophy,
like,
I guess. What's the biggest trophy?
I remember like trading cards, like packs of gum, like a stack of them. And then just kind of like, you trade them for stuff from other kids, or like that kind of, it's like, it was almost like, I'd say it's like cigarettes in jail. Like I know kids that would like steal Now and Laters and sell a Now and Later for like a quarter, which is just like the
original NFTs. It's like you're converting candy to cash.
It's more being like being the child of teachers and going to school with kids that were poorer than you. Kids that are poorer than you teach you financial ways
survival.
Around things. It's pretty wild. Yeah.
I could never. My sister and I tried to sell, like, people do lemonade stands. We tried to sell bookmarks. Like, we made bookmarks, sold them at the foot of our driveway. Yeah, no, your reaction is correct. We did not make much money doing it. It's not a good idea.
At like a farmer's market, you would probably sell out. But like
they were not that good. We were
nobody
children.
knows. Nobody knew about farmers markets when they were kids.
But it's just funny that I was like, I'm going to make money out of nothing. But it's like, no, you have to do something people want. Like, just sell lemonade, dude.
Yeah, you need a product in demand. That's one.
Okay. Let's do one more. Sneaking into rated R movie.
Dude, did I ever do that?
I don't know if that's like is this too quaint? Maybe this is too quaint. Kids like stream now. I'm literally saying this out loud. I'm like, kid would not do this now.
I was of that era. I wasn't the most daring kid. I hated getting caught. I hated, so it's like, I probably wouldn't, even though I wanted to see that horror movie more than anything, I probably wouldn't sneak in because I'd be like, like a random adult, not even working there, could be like, you shouldn't be in here. And I'd be like, all right, and run out, you know? Yeah.
Would you be upset if it was streaming, if your daughter, like if you're like, can't watch this movie and you caught her streaming like a horror movie?
Yeah. I mean, I'd be more annoyed. I'd be like, what the fuck? Like, come on, you know, like it's that I feel like, you know, parents kept it on that level where it was like, look, we talked about this, like, stop being a jerk kind of thing, you know? And you're like, you realize, all right, I am, you know, I wanted to hide behind this is just what kids do, man. But it's like, once you stop being a shithead, you know? So, yeah.
Oh, wow. I've never heard it put it that way, but I'm going to have to pocket that for when I'm a parent. It's like the idea of like, you're just respecting them as an adult, but also like of their choices. It's not saying like, you can't do this. It's like, man, like I thought you knew. And then they're like, fuck, I did. Oh, shit. I made that choice. Like,
a dad was in San Francisco. I was in a like a corner store, and his kid was carrying a little box, and he was carrying all this heavy shit, and his dad's like, Dad, I'm tired, Dad, like whining, and the dad's like, dude, I'm tired too, man, fucking walk. And I was like, whoa. But it was like, you know, the fucking walk wasn't the hardest thing, the dude was, where it was you're talking, it's like, hey, man to man, bro, you gotta stop bitching, you know? It's one of those things where it's like, and not even shaming him into being,
it's like, I heard you whiner, he's not like, ignoring him. He's like, I heard that you're tired and I think you can do it.
I just think it's so funny, and I was guilty of this as anybody, but like when you're a kid and a teenager, you have more energy than you'll ever have in your whole life, and you have the most laziness too.
I know.
It's a wild combination, you know?
That's so funny.
Anytime, I love watching people ask their teenagers, like, can you rake the yard today? Like, I mean, I have, and they make up an agenda. It's like, you're not going anywhere.
Oh
You have no plans.
That's so funny.
You just don't. It's like, so you're gonna get a job this summer. Like, I just feel like I should focus on it. Sounds like a shitty dude that's like breaking up with a girl. He's just like, I just need to focus on me right now and I do some work. I need to work on me. It's like, you're not going to work on yourself at all. You can go get drunk with your friends. That's not work. You know, there's no sacrifice.
True. Wow, I'm gonna start talking to my children like that at a very young age. As soon as they can make, everything is their choice. Regardless. I'm like, you pooped your pants, I'll clean it, but you chose to do that.
I'm telling you, girl, boy, or non-binary, you can just be like, dude, like a hard dude is so strong. You know, like I love how like young women say that to each other.
Yeah.
You know, it's just this thing. I'll slip and say it to my wife. She's like, you call me a dude? And I'm like, it's what us kids do. Come on.
It's almost like a respect, because it's like a familial, like, hey, I'm annoyed with you, but you wouldn't say that to like, you know, your boss or, you know, like in a networking meeting. So there's an element of like, because I love you, I'm telling you that you're pissing me off. And then they're like, oh shit.
Oh yeah.
They do love me. But damn, they're pissed. Yeah.
Yeah. Like the hard dude, like a guy, like a guy who is like, he keeps messing with something and then it breaks and you're like, dude, like that just means like, you know, it's like a familial, you're being a piece of shit right now and you need to stop kind of thing. Yeah.
Oh man, I love that. Well, it kind of brought that all the way around, because it ties into, you know, the dude, condoms under the bed. That message that she sent you was basically a dude. So thank you for sharing that, Matt. Is there anything you would like to plug or tell listeners how to like follow you, find you, anything like that?
Honestly, I mean, you can find me at Braunger, at BRAUNGER on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter. But like, I have a podcast called This Might Help that I got to have you on if you'll come.
I'd love to. Yeah.
Where it's similar to yours in that it's like people kind of spill their guts, but it's anonymous callers that leave us a message. So when you come on, we'll have 3 calls, you know, and hopefully they'll be specifically for you. We have a lot of people who want to call for the guest. Like they look at what they've done and go, I need advice on this. And it's kind of, it's not even kind of, it's for fun. It's totally unclinical. I never will have anyone who knows what they're doing on, but it's like advice based on our life's mistakes. So
I love that.
Go roll call number 1, and it might be someone that's really going through some shit, or it could be, you know, one time, the silliest version I bring up is the time a dude was with his roommates and was like, hey, we're on acid and there's a possum loose in the attic. I have some boxing gloves on. Should I put them on and go get it? And I'm just like,
oh my God.
I won't hear this in time. It's been a week since you called.
You got to do a follow-up with Possum Guy. What happened?
I think he just ended up doing what I said, ironically, call animal control, because boxing gloves are slippery. It would go right past and claw at your face if cornered.
Oh my God, possums are so disgusting.
Oh, they're needle teeth. They're horrible.
And have you seen like the moms with the little babies hanging off? It's apparently when they fall, they just let them go, which makes them makes me like them less.
Yeah, they're pretty distasteful as an animal for sure.
Okay, check out Matt's podcast, This Might Help, and follow him on all the things. Thanks so much for coming on this show.
It was such a blast. Thank you so much, Teresa.
All right, bye. Take care. Happy holidays.
All right, happy holidays. Take care.
Thank you for listening to You Can Tell Me Anything. You Can Tell Me Anything is a comedic podcast created and produced by Teresa Lee on the Hoo Ha Ha Podcast Network. The Hoo Ha Ha team is Ashley McAtee, Audrey Povar, Maggie Reith-Austin, Cardi Assad, and Stephanie Binot. The theme song for this podcast was created by Cody Johnston. The outro music was written by Shipwrecked Sailor. And the Hoo Ha Ha app can be found in the Apple Store to stream your favorite comedy series and laugh out loud podcasts by the funniest women in comedy. To contact this podcast specifically, you can email tellmeanythingpod@gmail.com and follow us on Instagram @tellmeanythingpod. Thank you.